A wise man once said that money doesn't change a person. It makes them more of who they already are. This profound statement resonates deeply when we explore the life of David Lee Edwards, a man whose destiny was permanently altered by a lottery windfall. Imagine the moment. A sudden influx of millions, a dream turned reality. Yet, as we peel back the layers of Edwards' story, we find a narrative not of dreams fulfilled, but of potential unraveled. This is not just a tale of riches to rags. It's a cautionary account of how the glitter of gold can obscure the path to genuine fulfillment, and how a stroke of luck can lead to a series of misfortunes. As we delve into the life of David Lee Edwards, we uncover the stark reality that sometimes the most significant wins can lead to the greatest losses. Join us as we uncover how a fortune meant for prosperity became a sign of demise, reminding us all that the true value of wealth lies not in its possession, but in its wise utilization. Before we get started, I would like to give a shout out to God James. You're doing great things for this channel, and we enjoy having you. Now let's get the video. Early years. Born in Ashland, Kentucky, David's life began with tragedy. His 3-year-old sister died during open heart surgery, and his older brother died after diving into shallow water at Greenbow Lake. Haunted by personal tragedies early in life, David first encountered the law at 16 during a failed robbery. This incident marked the start of his frequent clashes with police. Later on, Mr. Edward initiated a shootout with the state police. He was eventually tear-gassed, but luckily nobody was injured. Upon turning 18, David escalated from smoking marijuana to more addictive substances. At 26, he attempted an armed robbery at a local gas station, escaping with a paltry $360. Once arrested, David received a 10-year sentence. Although granted parole several times, he consistently violated the terms, resulting in a prolonged 16-year incarceration. During a brief period of freedom, David married and fathered a child, but his criminal lifestyle led to divorce. Resolved to change while in prison, he pursued education and sobriety. Released in 1997, he initially found work in the building trade. However, the grip of addiction proved too strong, and David tragically relapsed. During this time, he would meet and fall in love with Shauna Maddox, a waitress at a bar called Fiesta Bravo. The two would move into a home that David had inherited from his parents. Stroke of luck. In 2001, David and his partner Shauna faced dire straits, barely managing to keep a job and make ends meet. Their situation worsened when their water was shut off due to non-payment. Feeling defeated, David borrowed money from a friend, not just to pay the bill, but also to buy a pizza and 2 lottery tickets. A fateful decision. Against all odds, David's ticket was one of the 4 to win the staggering $280 million jackpot, catapulting him from rags to riches overnight. With a share of $41 million, he faced a critical choice: a $27 million lump sum, or $2.9 million annually for 25 years. Despite his tumultuous past, where yearly payments might have been prudent, David, like many, was swayed by financial experts, advocating for the lump sum, citing its potential for greater returns through investment. David hired financial advisor James Gibbs, who devised a plan to generate a substantial monthly interest of $85,000 for the rest of David's life. To safeguard a significant portion of his fortune, $16 million was invested in low-risk bonds and annuities. With a solid financial strategy in place and his girlfriend Shauna by his side, David was eager to embrace his new fortune. During an interview, David would say, "You know, a lot of people, they're out of work. They don't hardly have anything. And so I don't want to accept this money by saying, I'm going to get mansions and I'm going to get cars. I would like to accept it with humility. I want this money to last for me, for my future wife, for my daughter, and future generations." Spending spree. Almost as quickly as the cameraman stowed his gear, David dramatically altered his plans for the winnings. One of his first acts was to secure a $200,000 loan for an extravagant celebration in Las Vegas. Within 5 days, he was already contacting his lawyer for more funds. Once the lottery money was secured, David's spending escalated. He purchased a $1.6 million 6,000 square foot mansion in a gated Palm Beach Gardens, Florida community, complete with a tennis court and golf course. Additionally, he acquired a $600,000 house in Palm Springs, California, a $200,000 Lamborghini Diablo, a $90,000 Dodge Viper, and an array of cars worth over $1 million, prompting neighbor complaints, saying it started to look like a car lot. His lavish purchases included 3 losing racehorses, a collection of 200 imitation medieval swords and armor, and a $1.9 million Learjet with a personal pilot. Without Mr. Gibbs' knowledge, Mr. Edwards invested in a limousine business and a $4.5 million fiber optics installation company. In just 3 months, he had squandered $3 million, averaging about $1 million per month. By the end of the first year, his expenditure had soared to a staggering $12 million. Kept promise. The only promise David kept was to his family. His daughter Tiffany, 11, and living with her mother, quickly became the centerpiece of his lavish lifestyle. After settling his child support arrears, David paid an additional $500,000 to his ex-wife for full custody. He then whisked Tiffany away to a hotel room overflowing with gifts, including a teardrop diamond ring. Her new room in the mansion was a girlish dream, complete with angelic decorations, a princess canopy bed, a state-of-the-art computer, and a flat-screen TV, all overseen by a dedicated team of nannies, maids, and a butler. For her 13th birthday, David rented the presidential suite of the Ashland Plaza Hotel for an extravagant slumber party. He treated her to yacht trips and a visit to Cinderella's castle in Disneyland, showering her with luxuries. Despite its illegality for her age, he presented her with a $35,000 Hummer golf cart and committed to her education with enrollment in a prestigious private school at $16,000 per year. At one point, he showcased his newfound opulence to an NBC News TV crew, flaunting a $78,000 diamond-encrusted gold watch, a $159,000 ring, and a $30,000 plasma screen TV, symbols of a fortune that was as public as it was extravagant. The downfall. However, life wasn't all positive for David and his wife, Shauna. Their addiction gripped them tightly, leading to each spending $200,000 a month on crack cocaine, prescription pills, and heroin. In a desperate attempt to recover, David spent $80,000 for Shauna's 60-day treatment at the upscale Passages Malibu Rehab Clinic. Despite his generosity, including providing drugs to friends and paying for their funerals, when some overdosed, David's fortune dwindled rapidly. By 2006, just 5 years later, David was financially ruined. He faced lawsuits from creditors and former business partners. According to Gibbs, if David had followed his investment advice, he'd still be earning about $85,000 a month. Instead, he had liquidated his assets. Among his debts were $170,000 to Bank of America for credit card purchases and $50,000 in property taxes to the state of Florida. The bank foreclosed on their Florida mansion, and they were forced to live in a storage unit. As their relationship deteriorated, Shauna left and remarried. Deep in depression, David spiraled further into drug addiction, eventually being found living in squalor. Hitting rock bottom, David admitted himself to rehab. Afterward, penniless and indebted to friends, he returned to Kentucky with his ex-wife and her husband, surviving on disability payments and food stamps. He lived in a trailer park. In 2012, he was diagnosed with liver disease and passed away in a hospice in 2013, alone and without the means for a proper burial. With no money left, not even for a life insurance policy for Tiffany, David was cremated.